Okay guys, before we start the podcast, I wanted to let you guys know we're doing it a bit differently this time. We're going to be doing this in person at the same location. We're not using Skype. We've got an audio interface, amplifier, Audacity. Things are not going to sound the same. I'm aware of that. I do apologize if it sounds a little bit different, but we want it to be in the same room this time. Simon's got his iPad Pro with his little details, so I'm going to apologize in advance if the quality is not up to par. We're trying something new, and if it works out, we're going to do this more often. If not, then, you know, we'll go back to Skype and over the microphone. So, anyway, guys, let's get on with the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to podcast 19 with your host, Donald Wonder. I'm joined once again by my favorite arsehole of the millennium, Simon Rad.
Asshole of the century. Let's like get carried away here. You know, let's just keep it real. Millennium, nah. Kanye takes that crown.
Guys, thanks for waiting. We know you wanted to hear us so badly on our spoiler discussion for Captain America Civil War. I did the little first impressions video, a week ago, I reckon, from the time I'm doing this video here. And now, by the time you're hearing this, most you Americans should have watched the movie. So we've been fair, everyone's seen it, and now we can give our impressions on the good, the bad, the ugly, all the little quibbles we have about the movie. But you know, first and foremost, I do want to say, for the most part, this is a pretty damn good fucking movie, as I said before.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about it, or even as a letdown, like for a movie that was hyped so much. I mean, from the first teaser, everybody was going crazy about this movie. The hype was incredible, but yet nobody walked out so far, at least over here, said I was disappointed. Not everybody said it was their favorite Marvel film of all time, but everybody liked it.
People have said it's the top three, and I thought about it, and I was even in the video, I was debating it, the impression video, when I think it is in the top. I think it's a tie for Avengers. It's got the Avengers in it. It has a lot of comedy, but it's got something the Avengers didn't have, a more serious tone, on a much more serious storyline, approaching the subject a little bit more seriously. But let's do this in bits and pieces as we usually do, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the storyline overall. But now you're here, we can talk about some of the other things we didn't mention first. Like, we saw this in 3D D-Box.
Oh yeah.
At the O2 in London. The O2 London, Greenwich, whatever it's called. And the visual, the experience I had, the movie experience, was pretty good. I thought, apart from us having to wait another 10 minutes outside for some reason.
Yeah, except for them almost starting a civil war outside between the staff and the people trying to get in and watch the damn movie. But,
just to clean the bloody room.
Yeah, but that's neither here or there. Actually, what's interesting to note that you gave me your 3D glasses because you didn't want to watch it in 3D. Plus, I left my glasses at home.
That's fine. But I'm not the biggest fan of 3D. I never really have been.
That's why I brought it up, because I wouldn't recommend watching this in 3D.
You would or wouldn't?
Wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, the D-Box was great. Hence the reason why we were at a 3D screening, because that's the only way you can get D-Box. But outside of that, in my opinion, it looks better in 2D.
You know what, you call me a pussy, because at one point there was the D-Box, the first action scene in the movie. It was so intense from a D-Box perspective, it was actually distracting me. And usually I'm always trying to push it, like, nah man, give me more, give me more. Yeah. But that time the chair was rocking so much, I'm like, oh, god damn it, I just want to pay attention to the movie. So D-Box for me, I had to turn it down, and then you turned it back up. But then I just left. It was, you know, the D-Box experience was really good. This movie was just a little bit, it's like, wow, D-Box is actually pretty good for this movie. But I'm not going to lie to you, Simon, I would have preferred to just watch this in 2D, not D-Box, because the action and the story was enough on the screen to be very visceral for me. Like, I was happy to watch it, enjoy it that way. I mean, don't get me wrong, D-Box is fine as an extension of that experience, but for me, I was like, I would have just liked to, I'm going to see it again without the D-Box in 3D anyway.
Oh yeah.
But for me, I was just like, it was too much for me. D-Box was too much for my old ass, so you were right. I was a bit of a pussy in that regard.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, we're watching the trailers right now just to remind ourselves of the movie, and it always makes me want to watch it again as well in the theater, just to be in 2D, but which is something I usually don't do. I watch the movie once, and then I watch it at home a second time. But still, pretty good overall. And You know what? I agree with you because this is a more emotionally driven movie than usually Marvel. It's not as clean cut. That's what they were going for. You're supposed to be a little bit conflicted. The villain is very much a mystery villain. You don't know what he's up to. You don't know his backstory. He's in the background for the most part. So you don't really need the visual spectacle to get engaged.
Yeah.
The story really draws you in. For those of you who don't know, this is actually a very, very close follow-up to the Winter Soldier, the previous Captain America movie.
Yeah.
When we walked out of there, you and I, we actually talked about this, that the title Civil War is a little bit misleading.
It is.
The story really revolves around a mystery villain trying to get closer and closer to Winter Soldier, who's Captain America's friend Bucky, coming out from the previous Captain America movie where Steve Rogers and Falcon set out to find Bucky and try to get him back, try to help him after what he's been through since, the last time we saw him in the first Captain America. And this mystery villain is just trying to get closer and closer to him. Meanwhile, a big incident happens that pitches the Avengers against each other, and Bucky's the center of it. Captain America views this guy as his friend and tries to help him, while something very personal, something happens that turns the issue very personal for the rest of the team.
Yeah,
who just say, too much has been done, too many people got hurt. We need to take a stand on this, and that's really the core of the movie. The whole Civil War aspect and about being registering and all that. It's not as big as you think it is.
Well, actually, that's the biggest difference from the comic with the movie, because in the comic book, it's not only about the superheroes registering, it's also about them exposing their identities.
Oh yeah.
But in the movie, it's not more about them exposing their identities. They don't go too much into it. It's just more of they need to be overseen by the world governments. And the identity thing, I don't think exposing your identity was part of it, because in the comics, that's a massive part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But in the movie, it's not. So again, the movie, that Civil and Spider-Man's a big part of it as well. So in this movie interpretation, they only took, to me, 35% of that story, but it didn't matter. I'm just saying the Civil War name was taken to get butts in seats.
Oh yeah.
But they did that the right way. I mean, it's meant to be, it's a movie. You don't need to be the same as a comic. You can transform it, you can adapt it. And as we said before, it's more of a Winter Soldier 2 than a Civil War, and it's more personal. So the Civil War, the Civil War aspect, if you read the comics, you might feel, the name this isn't what I was expecting, but that doesn't matter because the story in the movie is good enough that this is fine. Maybe I would have preferred it if it get a different name, just because it gave me a little bit of expectation knowing the comic story. It's a very little quibble, but the Civil War, what they did with it was still good. But in saying that, if you're talking about, like I said this on the little video I did before, where do we stand? Like a lot of people prior to this movie, everyone's like, oh, you can see on Twitter, I'm hashtag Team Cap, I'm hashtag Team Iron Man.
The big segregation right there, big polarization.
And it was cool. It drove drama. It drove more interest in that I'm this time, and then when we get to the movie, we can discuss it now. And I said this before, and now I can elaborate. I was Team Iron Man, because if you're gonna bring this superhero thing into a reality, Iron Man said this basically verbatim. The world government aren't going to let us do this and get away with it. If we don't sign this thing, they're going to come after us, call us vigilantes. And I'm like, yeah, this will happen. But obviously what Captain America is saying is that, they're going to make us control us and make us tell us what we can and can't do. But I'm like, at one point, Tony Stark is more right, because there will be a point where the world government, if we're going to be more real world about this, the world government are not going to have it. They're going to fuck your shit up one way or another. And I just thought that we need to try it the Iron Man way first and see what will happen. And to me, it's destined to fail. If you do this in a real world setting, the governments and superheroes, they can't clash. There has to be one has to overrule the other. And whether it's the superheroes or the government, that's not for me to decide. I don't think one will be better than the other. I think the world government will be fucked up, and I think superheroes will be tainted. I think at some point, one of them will try to overthrow all the rest of them, like a Superman or Iron Man will try to manage everyone. So overall, that's human nature. Whether you're a superhero or not, I just think so. But I'll let you speak. I'll just say, I thought Iron Man, and considering the guilt trip that was put on him in the beginning, I kind of felt like I probably would have sided with Iron Man, because the situation he was in was more realistic, and I could understand. But Captain America, to me, was a little bit naive in why he was reasoning for me. But I'll let you have your go.
I'm really glad you brought this up, and it's a good subject to open up on, because I didn't hear this come up before. Honestly, I thought that was one of the things the movie didn't do quite well, is getting people engaged in the direct conflict between Captain America and Iron Man.
True.
Because I thought, the Winter Soldier is enough of a conflict, where people stand on either trying to help him or trying to capture him or kill him. Mm-hmm. But now that we talk about it more in depth, and we're going to get into spoilers in a minute, but I was with Captain America, and but the points you brought up were pretty good. And actually, I was talking to my girlfriend about this, who was siding with Black Widow, because she was saying, like,
she's not in this. She doesn't have a say.
No. But she was saying that she sided with Captain America, but would have went along with Iron Man, saying that, look, it's gonna happen. It's gonna come to this. So at least let's put half a foot through the door and try to keep this discussion open, rather than just, turning on backs and let them come after us. So I think now that the movie's out there and people had time to think about it, yes, it is engaging. And I think the story is, even if it's not as good as in the comic where it's all or nothing. I'm
not saying it's not as good. I'm just saying it wasn't...
that aspect of it. That aspect of it. Like the ideological difference. Because it's supposed to be like really... You're supposed to be engaged and actually come out disappointed from the film. The film is meant to disappoint you because you're siding with one character or the other, and both of them can't win. So somebody's gonna be let down, and then nothing's gonna be the same. So it's set up to be a darker, more depressing story, so to speak.
Sure.
So and I thought I don't know how much of that got realized in the film, because I was. For me, it was Winter Soldier 2. But not that we talk about it afterwards. It is good. And
well, I'm to be honest with you, I'm going to side more with you. I'm just going over that more in my mind. But the movie focused more on Bucky rather than that discussion that I made into a...
Oh yeah. I agree with that. I don't think that's a huge part of the film.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about it in retrospect, I think it was enough for what they were trying to do. Because for me, what Captain America made perfect sense. Because this is a guy from the Greatest Generation. So he
supposedly.
Oh yeah. Well, we call the World War II veterans the Greatest Generation, and basically he comes back and he goes in and basically learns about history. He learns about the McCarthy era, Nixon, Reagan, all that crap. Bush, 9/11. So for this guy to be skeptical and to say, look, things might be decent now, but the governments are run by people with agendas, and agendas change. I'm like, absolutely. I can totally see why he's disappointed that what he fought for in World War II, and then what the world went through, and the decisions that have been made, and the way things got messed up and people suffered. It's totally understandable that he wants to maintain some freedom and have some distance between his authority and the authority of government. He wants to remain more of a collaborative party, not a party that's directly accountable to any government, and therefore they have to constrain their actions. So like he puts it in the movie, what if one day we want to go somewhere and they're not letting us?
Yeah.
Or what if one day they're sending us somewhere and we don't want to go? What happens then?
Yeah.
So there is enough in the movie if you're interested in the political aspect to get you engaged.
Definitely.
But at the same time, this is supposed to be still in the realm of people who watch Guardians of the Galaxy with their kids. They should still be able to make the jump to this film, which I think is the most impressive about the movie, that it's not a dumb movie. It's not dumbed down. It doesn't pull any punches. This is really a darker, more depressing Marvel film. It's not a lighthearted action comedy.
No.
But they managed to do it elegantly.
I think they sprinkled the action very well. Starts off the action scene. It's sprinkled out very consistently, and that is very well done. Russo brothers, excellent job there. I have to give you props on that as well. But let me just jump in before we kind of drift off, because I want to move on to the other parts. To be fair,
okay,
I was harping on Captain America, not on his side, but there was a specific scene in the movie where he said, "Okay, Tony, I'm gonna do it your way. I'm gonna give it a try. So let's sign it. Oh, Where's what's that girl's name?
Scarlet Witch.
Where's Scarlet Witch? Oh yeah, we like to. Oh, you see, Tony, you see, this is what I'm talking. So he was gonna go with it. So I have to be fair. He was just. I was like, okay, so he was gonna go with it, and then he saw that Tony. He saw the future was, oh look, they're controlling us already. I said, that's fair. So in that moment, I thought that one little scene elevated the movie to me because they gave me that little thing. I was like, why couldn't he just try? He did try. But then, you know, even though he jumped on anyway, it's a little quibble, but I just wanted to bring it up. To be fair to Captain America, they both tried. And for me, Iron Man was just put on a guilt trip. He was put in the worst guilt trip. And when the movie started, even though we're spoiling it, I'm not going to bring up that specific point. But you meet someone near the beginning of the movie, and the way the guilt trip was put on him, and calling it a guilt trip is a bad use of words, because honestly, what that person said to him was real fucking talk. And, you know, that shook him through the rest of the movie. People, what that one encounter, that one woman that met Tony in the beginning, and that set him on the path, and I completely understood, you know, and it really did set the tone for the movie. For Captain Iron Man. For Iron Man's state of mind, it set the tone, and we'll get more into the story in a minute, but actually we'll get more into the story now, because we've done most of it. You know, one of the things I didn't like was a missed opportunity, and this is a missed opportunity for Marvel in general, is, as you said, the villain is a mystery man. And when we get to the end and find out what the villain is, his reason for doing what he's doing is fine. And it's understandable. But this is my problem with Marvel in general. And this is what people keep praising about DC. They say DC have great villains. DC villains are even better. When we go back to the Dark Knight and the Joker, and DC, you know, DC are doing a whole movie about villains. Marvel consistently do not have good villains. Even go back to the first Iron Man movie with that other, all of the Marvel movies, the villains are underwhelming, with Loki being the exception. Why? Because Loki was done by a good actor. They gave him some fleshed out material, and they just made him a likable character. And on top of that, he's technically villain anti-hero territory.
Yeah, but although, just to jump in real quick, I think the reason why nowadays the villains are underwhelming, in fact in general, because they always have the potential. They always have a terrific actor there. The first Iron Man had Jeff Bridges. And now they have great actors. Even we talked about this with Ant-Man when we had our discussion about Ant-Man. Yeah. Even in the smallest parts, they have terrific actors. Even in here, like, they have some minuscule roles given to some big actors. So that's why it's kind of underwhelming, because you see these great actors come in, and in this one, the actor's name is Daniel Brühl. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it right. He's a German actor. You remember Inglourious Bastards?
Sure.
He played the Stolz der Nation, the Pride of a Nation, the sniper guy in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He had a bunch of standout roles. He played Niki Lauda in the Ron Howard movie Rush with Chris Hemsworth.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah. So terrific actor, and he's great as the mystery guy. It's just when you learn about his backstory at the end, it's almost like they took him and made him like an average guy. His storyline involves revenge for basically collateral damage for the Avengers' previous actions.
Common theme in this whole movie.
yeah. The collateral. It's like one big middle finger to DC, basically. Like the whole movie sounds like
they could have called this Captain America collateral damage.
Oh damn! And and I actually looked it up because the villain is so mysterious. Walking out of the movie, I couldn't pinpoint which Marvel character he was supposed to be, and he was playing Baron Zemo, who is like a Captain America villain who's larger than life.
I know that name.
Yeah, he's almost like a Doctor Doom. He's like somewhere in Africa, and he has his own little empire and with a bunch of followers.
I honestly, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think Marvel really make their villains, like, highlight them, use them the right way, or make them known to you. And like I said, even you go to Iron Man 3, another legendary villain. Oh, that was terrible. What they decided to do with that character is like, what are you doing? In the Hulk, I mean, even the last Avengers, Ultron, even disappointed. I'm just like, this. All right, let's stick with this movie. This movie's villain, his reasons for doing what he was doing was fine. I just wish they picked a well-known villain and made that villain the person. So we had someone to say, oh, that guy's in it or something. I think they need to make their villains a spectacle. They need to. That's the weakest part of Marvel, and it's honestly, even saying that's the weakest point is a super nitpick. I know guys thinking, what the fuck's this guy talking about? But I just honestly, that's all they need to do. If they make their villains more intriguing, put them center stage, and somehow even make them more anti-hero-ish, like Loki, that would make them perfect. Telling you, that's it. And I know this next movie's got Thanos, and even Guardians of the Galaxy got these anti-heroes, kind of, they're not good guys. That's what they need to do. That's what Marvel needs to do with these superhero movies, with Thor, all these single movies. And you know what? They might be... Marvel are very aware of themselves. You know, they might pick up the slack and do that in these next movies. But coming away from this movie, that villain was the only thing I was like, yeah, it was good, but... And actually, on top of that, now I'm going to really nitpick and upset some people. Man, this villain was getting these guys over some silly shit. Like, the bombs. Like, 3 times this movie, bombs. How the fuck can you guys not know where these are? They don't, the protection, the summit, where they were having the summit. Yeah. And like, you guys don't have any bomb protection. I mean, this is a world event. I mean, in general, any kind of gathering, there should be very high acclaimed surveillance.
I know what you mean, like.
But why did I know it's just to serve the story? I know I'm nitpicking.
But I know.
The
like,
first time it happens, and then it happens again. It's like when they get Bucky up, bomb again. I'm like, they roll up with a bomb. It's like he just did that on the summit. What's up with bombs?
I know it was a very tricky thing because what the Russo brothers tried to do, they tried to really turn this into a Captain America movie. Yeah. Like, because Captain America's villains outside of the Red Skull aren't well known, and both villains in here, Zemo and Crossbones, who also is a follow up to Civil War, where you saw kind of his origin. They're typical Captain America villains, and this is like the big screen debut. And the Zemo character was so ridiculous. You posted up, showed it to me, an episode of the old school, like, what is it, 60s cartoon?
Yeah,
or
old Captain America forces his
mighty shield. That one. And it was an episode about this guy. He was ridiculous. I mean, it was, you could never do that. It's so outdated. Yeah. And they try to go the opposite way, would make him a real, down-to-earth, like a regular guy, out for revenge, somebody who just uses his intellect. Yeah. Throughout the whole movie, but that's the flip side of it, that you make him so real that it's almost like too much for one guy to do. Like, this guy just rolls up, he tricks the Avengers, blows up everything, he gets away with it, frames everybody
3 times.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I was waiting for Hydra or somebody to come out of the background.
If it was Red Skull or someone, that's my problem. It's like if this was a bigger Marvel villain, like it's the Red Skull's back and he was one more, I was like, oh, that guy could do it. But this guy,
they almost like they almost made him too down to earth. Like, they try to avoid making him this
fantastical,
this ridiculous character. But now he's so real. Suddenly you're nitpicky because you're like, okay, you need to give me an explanation for every single thing. But then the movie's gonna be 4 hours long, try to show how this guy plotted all this out, a year in advance or whatever.
You know, we have to nitpick these guys. I know you guys are thinking, how can you guys be?
But that really is a smallest point.
It's a very small. Honestly, it's not no Batman versus Superman level plot hole here. No, it's just something that they could have done better. But that wasn't the worst part. And
okay, so now that we discussed our nitpicks, let's just jump onto the things that we like, because I know both you and me
too many things
liked a lot of things. Like,
too many things.
For me, this is it. My boys, Black Panther and Spider-Man are finally in the Marvel universe. Scarlett Johansson, another great performance. She was good. Yep, her action scenes are tight. I mean, they really make good use of the fact that she is a character who's not super powered. So when she's on screen, it's really edgy and it's really intense. And she's still looking very fine, but she needs to move over because now we got a new sexiest Marvel character. Because my boy, Black Panther, that African beauty, man, that boy, man, he was looking fit. He was looking like he's born to do it.
You know, he had his little haircut where his little thin little beard.
I gotta say, it took a long freaking time, way too long, to get a black superhero that's not played by an NBA player or some bullshit like that. but they made up for all of it.
Why you gonna bring up Steel again?
Because I watched the movie 10 times as a kid and I will never get back those hours out of my life. But no, I gotta say, Black Panther was awesome. Almost like too awesome. Like they make every scene with him so good, and the actor's so good.
Do you know one thing? I gotta bring this up.
Yeah, I just want to say that you immediately want more. That's kind of the fault that I had with it. That he's so good, you kind of forget that this is a Captain America movie, so you're not gonna get that much of him.
I was sometimes you feel shortchanged with character appearances, like you said, but this time I was like, it was well enough. It was. Yeah. I wanted to see more. Don't get me wrong, but I was just like, hey man, I'm ready for the next one. I'm not Spider-Man. I'm salivating, but this time I was like, I can't wait for. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I'm a bit weary because Black Panther is a very different story. Black character in Africa. One thing I do want to bring up is when I heard his accent the first time, I thought, but it was, Chadwick Boseman's a very good actor, and he pulled it off. I thought it was a bit heavy, but I guess they want to really deeply engulf themselves in the African culture, and it's okay. I thought to myself, as I was watching it, I was like, is it bothering me? Is it? But it's not. It's not Will Smith concussion. Tell the truth!
Tell the truth!
Tell the truth! So,
tell the truth!
No, he did the accent. I was like, but I was like, no, it's good. Hopefully, because accents are hard to keep consistent, in the next couple of years, when he has to come back and do the Black Panther movie, it doesn't change when you come back.
I know.
But it was okay. I don't know if you felt any way about that accent.
No, I really liked it. Okay. I mean, they really nailed this character in terms of like, there's no. Usually, when you like, I hate to bring up DC, but first black superhero in that universe, and he's just strapped to a freaking, I don't even know, chair and getting electrocuted. Fantastic Four. First thing that the guy does, he gets arrested. I'm like, when Chris Evans was Johnny Storm, he pretty much stole a spaceship, never landed in jail. So they don't do none of it. This guy is very capable. He's addressed as freaking Your Royal Highness throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
He gets his little chemistry with Black Widow on first thing. I mean, he's the
There was one thing in the movie I was like,
okay, talk to me.
But no, it's not even a nitpick. He said that spoiler, his father, the king, actually dies at the summit, his old man, and then he said, the Black Panther mentals pass from king to king. I'm like, that old man was just a king, so
to be fair, he said warrior to warrior, like the chosen warrior.
Was that old man the last Black Panther? was he the Black Panther? And now he died. He just put on the suit. Cause I'm like,
that suit was tailor made for him. I mean,
that's not possible.
That was a pimping ass suit. Yeah,
I just wanted to be clear. That old man. He wasn't the Black Panther just a minute ago. Was he?
No, I think because there's a dialogue between them where he's like, "You're being very supportive of diplomacy for somebody who's usually not in favor of diplomatic solutions."
Guys, so I'm just fucking about, guys. Yeah. There's no logical way an old man like him would be Black Panther.
Yeah.
When I was just watching him, I was like, come on.
I'm sure in his own movie they will go into how he's already Black Panther for years, and the tradition of naming the best warrior, handpicking them, and giving them the mantle. And
speaking of Black Panther, sorry to cut you there. We had a YouTube comment that we spoke about pre-recording that someone said they were asking because they didn't see the movie yet. Now they probably have. That Black Panther in this movie, is he an enhanced human, like a mutant X-Men superpower guy, or is it the suit? Because even in the trailer, you see him fighting Bucky, who's basically like a Captain America super soldier, taking punches. And then in the suit, he's obviously fighting them head on as well. So in the movie, a question to us was that, is he super powered, from what we can tell, human, or is he just powered in the suit? What do we think? I thought it was a mixture of both.
Okay.
From what I saw. I don't know what you thought of that.
I'm not too sure because
you don't know if they clarify that well
in his backstory, like in the animated stuff you saw him in previously. He's a science guy. He's a capable warrior who's trained by the martial artist of his tribe.
Yeah,
and he's also super intelligent, so he has all these gadgets. He's basically a black Batman type of character, but he doesn't really have superpowers. And here they clarify that his suit is made out of vibranium, because that's why they always keep coming to this country, because that's where they find the vibranium at. That's why Ultron went there in the previous film. And his suit is made out of that. That's how he can take the punches. Now, granted, he has a fight scene with Bucky without the suit, but then he kind of gets his ass kicked a little bit. It's just that he's so wonderful that he just shrugged it off his shoulder. You know,
so you're saying he's the Black Batman?
Yeah. Well, let's not get carried away, because next thing you know, he's gonna take down Galactus with like a gun, with like a super bullet, and that's the whole movie. Just Black Panther shows up, just shoots him in the head, like done. I'm Batman.
Right. Let's leave Spider-Man for last, because everyone's over. Anything else apart from, we'll get to Spider-Man.
Well,
anything else apart from that?
I gotta say that you brought up a good point. Like, how can he outrun Captain America if he's not in hands? But we'll see. Maybe his suit has a few perks that we haven't seen before. You know, maybe it's linked to that. But the character itself was done very well, very well.
Okay, but outside of Black Panther, anything? The other things, don't get to Spider-Man yet. We have to do that.
See, so because I was liking the movie, but I fell in love with it when Spider-Man came on. And I'll say this: what I really liked about this one, that they introduced every character as, you know, human first.
Sure.
You don't see any superhero character come on screen in costume first and then get into his identity. You see them as a regular person, you get to know them, and that's when later on they put their suit on and get into the action. So you establish everybody as a three-dimensional human character. You get a little bit of their backstory, both Black Panther and Spider-Man. You see them from a human side. You get to know what their personality is, how they feel, how it makes sense to them to come into the story. They're not a damn YouTube celebrity. They're not a clip of Aquaman doing fishing or whatever the heck he was doing in, you know, Dawn of Bullshit. So yeah, that's what I liked about the movie most. And if you want to get into comparisons, there's a lot of things people could learn from this film, like both Fox and DC.
Well, before you do that, I do want to say that you bring up that point about how the Russo brothers constructed it. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a link on the screen, because the Russo brothers, they came on the Screen Junkie show, those guys that do the Honest Trailers, and they had a really good interview with them about how they make movies and how they came across to do The Winter Soldier and this Civil War. And everything Simon said, I watched the interview beforehand, and they said they went in actively knowing, being aware that they're coming at it from a perspective, we want you to like the characters separately, and we're gonna execute it in this way from a story and character perspective first, and give everyone the action stuff. And that formula, the way I don't want to call it a formula because that's a bit belittling, but the way they did it was just so well done, and they won. That's why people loved The Winter Soldier and said that was one of the best Marvel movies, and that's why this adds more. And you would think adding more characters would be more tricky and more dangerous, but you know, this movie was better than, you know, Joss Whedon's Age of Ultron. Sorry, and
oh yeah, definitely.
And you know, this surpassed that with the character development. And even though Ultron had some good character moments and good comedy, this one just took it to the next level. And it was, like I said on the other video, a good political thriller with superhero characters. And you know, man, that's just done so well. So guys, check out that video. You should really just hear them speak about it. And you know, I was gonna say we would love to see Zack Snyder give his thoughts on how he would come across it, but you know, we're probably gonna see that come in the future with all these headlines coming out. But anyway, let's move on. And before you get onto the comparisons, let's be fair and talk about Spider-Man for a little bit.
Okay, finally, my boy.
You got to save the best till basic, because we're wrapping this up anyway. We're getting to the end. So let's go for Spider-Man. I said a little bit about it, so I'm gonna let you say, what do you like about Spider-Man? And you know, coming in, there was a lot of expectation. People already saying this is great, this is great. No one saw the audition. Another British actor playing basically an American superhero. I know. But what made this Spider-Man so good for you?
Honestly, really, like I said, the fact that they introduce everybody as a human. When you see him for the first time, he's Peter Parker. He nails it. Like, you recognize that that's Peter Parker. You never felt this strong with the previous two actors, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Yeah, he really nails Peter Parker. And then when he puts the suit on, he is Spider-Man. I gotta say, you showed that clip, like not even a clip, just a picture of the suit to me, because everybody was talking about it, and I usually avoid trailers. The first thing I said, I'm like, that looks like Golden Age Spider-Man. This is a perfect choice. That's what I want to see. I want to see somebody take Spider-Man back to what made it great when the character debuted.
You know what? That's another thing I want to talk about. The suit. Yeah. The reason why I'm going to stop you just there, people complain about the suit, that it looked too I can't think of the word, but it looked too plasticky.
Nah,
Like
man.
the color, it looked like a CG suit. But the funny thing is, you know why that makes sense to me? Because it was made by Tony Stark.
Oh yeah, and
So it could, to me, it's like, because you see his own suit, if you want, his homemade suit, his first one, you get to see, which is laughable. But then the one Tony Stark gives him is like, yeah, it's not the metallic one in the comic Civil War one. That is very metallic. The Iron Spider-Man suit, I think it's called. This one's like, no, this would be the suit he made. It looks very sleek. It is very shiny. And I think that's on purpose. So I don't think it was a CG thing. It was a classic looking Spider-Man suit.
Yeah,
but I think it's the Tony Stark inspiration. And I do think in the next movie, I think there's going to be another Spider-Man suit. I do.
maybe
That's not a bad thing. The suit isn't bad. But I'm just
maybe
saying.
they tweak it a little bit, but a lot of people complain about the eyes. I'm like, that's great because it gives the actor something to work with to actually act while he has the mask on. It was a big problem in the previous films that we always had to see the actor take the mask off all the time.
Yeah. To emote.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2, they couldn't get the train sequence working without Tobey Maguire taking the mask off.
I hated that scene.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
one of the worst scenes where they
of
hold him up
course.
like a messiah and no, we're going to keep your secret. Bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother
That's a
discussion.
digression.
But basically, Andrew Garfield, that was ridiculous. I mean, he spent more time without a mask than within the mask.
I liked him in Spider-Man, but the story, the script of the movies were terrible. So, oh well.
Yeah, and now the actor finally has he doesn't have to take the mask off. He can actually evoke some emotion using the eyes, which is a classic trick. They use it in illustrations and the animated shows all the time.
And you know what, people? The last Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, they tried to infuse more of the jokes this time. It came off very smarmy, very smug. This time, the enthusiasm and positivity, and he has this naivete to him as well that just makes it. Well, you found it in the movie. He's only been Spider-Man for 6 months, but it just makes us like, wow, I'm really ready to get back into Spider-Man. And to make it even funnier, there was one great little joke in the movie where Spider-Man's like, yeah, you know, do you want to hear my story? And Tony's like, I don't want to hear it. But, you know, there's a bit where he's like, yeah, you know, me being Spider-Man. And then he was about to say his origin story. And Tony's like, yeah, but anyway. And I was like, wow, that's a good way to sideline the origin story. Even if it was just going to say my uncle died, we don't want to hear that. Let's just get to business here. I thought that was a really funny little side joke. Just put that to the side.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, he was just fun. It was just fun when he was on screen. It was fun. He felt like a different character. He felt like the way Spider-Man should feel like. Younger, more jokey, more naive. He stood out immediately and was immediately memorable.
That's the funny thing you're saying that is because to me, you know, everyone thought, and I know you're going to say this was never going to happen. When they heard that Marvel was getting back the rights, people thought it was going to be Miles Morales. But the funny thing is, because Miles Morales they took the age of Miles Morales. For me, this is the age of Miles Morales.
Yeah.
He actually has a lot of, like, I've watched some of the cartoons of Miles Morales. This is kind of the personality of him. So it's kind of like having the Miles Morales without having him. Obviously, he's not black. But I'm like, you know what? To be honest with you, I didn't really like, when he was cast and I knew he was going to be young, I thought, I kind of like Spider-Man when he's older. I don't like this younger one. But when I saw him, I was like, no, this is the breath of fresh air this Spider-Man needs.
Yeah.
And Marvel are going to kill it because you got a younger one. This might be the first Marvel movie hitting a younger audience. So they actually, to me, it's like a double whammy because younger kids are going to want to see this because it's a younger Spider-Man. I'm not going to say the movie's not going to be serious or action, but I'm just saying when you put a younger face in the crew of all these adult superheroes, you just got a whole new demographic in. And
I see what you're saying, but trust me, people forgot how popular Spider-Man is. Like, America's favorite superhero is Spider-Man. The world's most popular superhero is Spider-Man. This is not me talking like No. I'm saying they underestimate how big this movie's gonna be. Like when they do the solo movie. So him being young is not a problem because if it's up to them, they'll make 10 of these. They're gonna make 10 Spider-Man movies because he's gonna age into the Spider-Man you like to see because they're not gonna stop.
I'm gonna love seeing that. That's what I'm going to love seeing.
Yeah, and they did a great start because it's a very character-driven Spider-Man, which it should be. And just to wrap it up, I can't. It was really good. I don't know what to say. It was really. He did a really good job. And that's what I want to say. Miles Morales, 2 years earlier, if John Boyega got cast in Star Wars 2 years earlier, I would have said, okay, I could see him getting the role because he's in Star Wars. It's all Disney. they're gonna make him into Miles Morales. But because they already cast this guy, I'm like, nah, you're not gonna get Miles Morales because it's gonna be confusing. People know Spider-Man is Peter Parker. You're not gonna see him in a movie.
And by the way, let me give. I wasn't even gonna. This just came to my mind right now. Let me give Marvel and Disney the biggest pat on the back again, casting an unknown actor or a lesser known actor in a very big role. Well done, kudos to you. We're always saying that we need to give new actors a chance, not just any old child celebrity you already known and loved for years. That is fucking excellent.
Oh yeah, it's not Zac Efron.
I know we do want minority casting as well, but just broadening the scope and getting new actors in who are actually good for the role.
Yeah,
not just Simon's favorite actor, Ben Affleck. You know? Not just getting big names just because. Getting guys that proved in the casting they got it. And yeah, Spider-Man's great. I said this in the last video that there was a last credit scene. If you wait to the end of the credits, you get another. You know, it's not that worth it, but it was nice to end it on Spider-Man. Spider-Man will be back. That was awesome. Just put a smile on my face. It ended the movie on another like, can't wait to see that movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. Well, we talked about all these things, but people shouldn't be making notes because this is
DC.
The big thing. The big thing was everybody was like, Marvel's getting repetitive. They're all light-hearted action comedies, but no consequence. Can they do a darker movie? And by the time you finish, this movie's finished, and you see the ending, it's great. It's a very dark. It's very dark at the end. It's serious. The tone is serious. It's not bleak. It's still fun. There are jokes. You get invested in the characters. There's a lot of good action. That's probably the best superhero action scene out of all movies. Oh shit!
We never spoke about the airport scene.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was great. I mean, I could go on.
Oh, that's a scene you can discuss for hours.
Yeah, there's no point. Honestly, I loved it. One thing that annoyed me about Simon is we're gonna spoil this one part. The biggest shock to me was Ant-Man turning massive. I was like, wow, that was, and making him into like a villain. Spider-Man had to tackle him, and it was. Wow, the whole fighting scene was great, but that one scene I didn't see coming. Simon said he did. I was like, fuck you, Simon.
Yeah, I knew that he was gonna turn giant, but
that was awesome.
But at the same time, what I like about the Russo brothers, they are so committed to these films and are so smart and plan every scene out so well.
They made an action scene with 15 heroes at the same time work. And how?
Usually I would just sit there and be like, they should have done this, they should have done that. But this one, I could just sit back and enjoy it. There was no inconsistency, plot holes, any nonsense, anything you would shake your head or roll your eyes. It was just fun. It all made sense. It was set up well. It was directed well. And they kept introducing new elements to make it exciting. Like, they weren't just... Captain America wasn't just running around throwing his shield. There was always something new going on, and every hero showed up, and
everyone. It was a long. It wasn't. I know. Keep going back and see, man. It wasn't a 10 or 7 minute scene. The scene was meaty. It was meaty. Everyone went back and forth, and like one of the biggest things I thought was Spider-Man. He's so acrobatic and how is he going to incorporate? He was incorporated in the fight. Exceptionally well, exceptionally humorous, and wow, fucking amazing.
Oh yeah. So in terms of what this movie means for the rest of the industry, it means that they should consider diversification to keep the genre fresh. We're talking about oversaturation. Marvel just showed that they can, make a movie that's a completely different tone, but still contains the elements everybody likes, like a little bit of humor, nice action, fun, but still tackles more serious subject matters. The other thing I really like that you can tell from right in the beginning of the movie that's set in Africa and Captain America's fighting Crossbones, the Russo brothers are very smart with their action. It's not just mindless action. You mentioned Batman versus Superman, where one of the reasons why that fight scene is so lame, that Batman's not even human. It was supposed to be this human, vulnerable guy versus, somebody who's unstoppable. But Batman gets thrown to buildings and walls. He gets shot in the head. He gets stabbed all the time. He just gets up like nothing happened.
I don't even think Superman punched him. I think he just pushed him in that whole fight.
Yeah, but right after that fight scene, he gets into another fight scene and gets shot in the head. and then stabbed and all this. And,
yeah, his stamina is like full stamina, basically.
Yeah, it's like that basically anything that happens to him, he just shakes it off and keeps going, and it takes you out of the movie because there's no consequence to anything.
He never got hurt in the whole movie. Actually.
Yeah,
I don't think he got hurt in the whole movie. You're right.
Here they do an excellent job showing you that Steve Rogers can very much be hurt and killed.
Oh, people got, and if you're talking about, look what happened to War Machine.
Oh yeah, exactly. They make the consequences real and they keep the tension. The very first fight scene between Captain America and Crossbones is great because Captain America is always on the edge. First, he gets shot at with rocket launchers. You can see him running, get hit, almost getting killed. Then they go hand to hand. Immediately, they introduce this metal glove he has that allows him to hit him like a jackhammer, and he just keeps punching Captain America across the room. They do a very clever sound effect, and the camera shakes, so there's a weight to his punches. When he punches the wall, when Captain America dodges, the whole screen shakes. You really feel the impact.
Especially on D-Box.
Oh yeah. And right after that, they introduce knives and then a suicide vest. So every second, there's a new threat he has to face, and you really feel like he could get hurt any second. Whereas in other superhero movies, Batman vs Superman is just nonsense, it's just stupidity. It's just like CGI characters, running around on screen, or a stuntman doing a Batman Arkham Asylum fight scene. There's no emotion, there's no tension, it's just eye candy. Over here, they never do that, and they actually have some very good, compelling scenes that keep the story emotional, where you really feel like Captain America is facing a struggle and he's trying to help a friend, and the odds are stacked up against him. The final fight scene between him and Iron Man is not pretty. It gets very, very bloody.
It was really great. To be honest with you, I thought Robert Downey Jr. toned his performance down on that, because what he finds out, which I'm not even going to spoil that, even if it's spoiled, I'm not going to spoil it. What he actually finds out, it would have made me turn into a rabid dog. It would have made me absolutely, I thought he controlled himself very well.
He played it very subtle.
And I thought, to be honest with you, it was a very big betrayal for Captain America, which he even realized. I was shocked. When I was like, Captain, really? You knew that shit? Man, that's wrong, man. That's wrong. And they showed that bit in the trailer where Tony looks at him and punches him, and I would have never thought that. And I guess we'll talk about the trailer as well in a bit, but just to wrap things up at the end, sorry, I'm not going to cut you, but I'll just wrap things up to the end for me. Where the movie ended for me, especially, I said this on the other video, which I keep referencing for some reason. Well, the last Captain America movie, The Winter Soldier, it ends with the end of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is like, still to this day, I thought that was a very extreme story idea, like really completely just, I thought, which they're sticking to, which I think is very weird, since S.H.I.E.L.D. they got a TV series as well, but I'm like, okay, so they still carry that trend, and in this movie is basically the end of the Avengers ... Well, not really, but you know what I mean. So everyone's fucking in jail. I'm like, really? But if you read the comics, there's this thing called The Secret Avengers, which is basically Captain America doing his own thing. Which you're
getting really, really nerdy.
Which doesn't really make sense, because, it wasn't... Anyway, but this all leads on to Infinity War. So if there's a bigger threat, the whole universe is going to be destroyed, no one's going to be in jail. It's going to be all hands on deck. So, but I was surprised. The movie, like you said, the movie committed to an ending. Was like, wow, just like The Winter Soldier, it ends in a place I was like, wow, man, this still draws me into want to watch more. The consequences and the stakes are lasting. It's not just a movie that just resets. I mean, that's Marvel's theme in general. They've continuously carried things on year by year by year. Other comic movie studios need to take note of that. And just, I'm going to end on saying this. Moving to Infinity War. Are the Russos doing Infinity War?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, these are the right guys. This movie has proven they can handle a massive cast. They can handle a comic story and bring it to... Obviously, they're going to transform it, but they can make it more realistic. It's going to be very interesting to see them do Infinity War, because that is a very fantastical battle, out of space, very galactical. So, the Russo brothers that have brought this down to Earth, that's going to be the ultimate test. On top of that, they're increasing the roster as well. But they've shown me nothing but competence, and they've entertained me every single step of the way, and they seem to rise to the challenge. So coming away from this movie, which I already gave a rating for a very high, well, I gave it a first class, I think this movie will stand the test of time. they call this the Captain America trilogy, and they have a tone in these movies, especially the last two, that is very, very, very intense, very, very serious, and I think it's gonna stand the test of time as the kind of superhero movie you want to attain to. This is not just a good movie. This is a high caliber movie that is gonna be hard to emulate. Where people need to look at these movies and say that we need to reach this standard. DC, pointing you out once again, you need to get your movies, your storylines on this level, because not only is it going to make you a lot of money, but we want stories that are going to stand the test of time. And this movie, I'm going to watch it again. I could watch this and the Winter Soldier back to back because it's an escalation, it's a good story, and it's something I think is going to stand the test of time. They did a great job, and you know, when the masses see this, the current score, well, they're saying that it's looking like it's going to break Avengers money, and it's better than the Avengers. It really is.
The first
it has
one.
That one storyline element that's better. So I think it will break the Avengers money, well deserved. And yeah, wow, I'm just blown away by it, and I'm going to see it 2 more times, as I said before. So that's my final thoughts, basically.
Oh, so you think it's better than the first Avengers? You liked it more? The very first one.
You know, only because it only has that one thing Avengers doesn't have, just a more, the stakes are more, not more bigger. You can't get bigger than the high stakes in Avengers. But it's the emotion is just a bit deeper.
Oh yeah, it is a more personal film.
Yeah,
and you really care more. And that's the only about
thing
the characters
that trumps it, because the Avengers are an amazing movie. But I just think that one thing, they're kind of on the same plane. But this builds upon the Avengers. The only reason it's better than the Avengers is because it's after and builds upon the Avengers. So to compare it is kind of unfair, because this builds upon that, but it's not even an Avengers movie. That's what also makes it so spectacular. It's meant to be a Captain America movie, and it is. But you've got the Avengers there dealing with an Avengers level. Well, it's dealing with the effects. I don't want to ramble on. Look, man, this is a great movie. I think it's.
You don't need to know more, really. Yeah. Like, I don't think you can walk into this movie and walk out disappointed. You will be entertained. And
you need to wrap this up, man, because I had my long.
Hey, we talked about this. I think it's a movie everybody should take notes of. Just I can go on about it. They did a great job with directing. Every action scene is different. Every character not only is well developed, but when they put on the suit, they actually use their gadgets well. Like, Falcon is awesome in the movie. He constantly does something different. He doesn't flying around. He uses his wings as shields. He drops bombs, shoots missiles. He does all sorts of flips. He's good at hand-to-hand combat. They really use the cast well. That's another thing that a lot of people, and now I'm talking about 20th Century Fox with the X-Men franchise, could learn that the whole cast can be cool. Not just Jennifer Lawrence or Hugh Jackman. You can have a well-balanced cast. I think everybody here has an important part to play, and everybody has a good moment and a good storyline. So, minus the villain, when he's revealed, he doesn't have that much of an impact.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the movie's really great. I would just like to ask you, what's the one thing that you think people should take note of from this film? Like the competition, DC and Fox. What should they, when they watch this movie, what's the one thing they should maybe try to emulate? How
to write characters you care about. And just like you said, evenly. This is the most important thing. When you maximize your, when you maximize the interest of every character and evenly make you care for each and every one, you come away with an even movie and something you find hard to plug holes in, because there's so much good about it. Even when we're doing our best in this podcast, leading negative, even when you're poking negatives, they're so small that you just appreciate them more and you discuss it more. And everyone else should come away from this movie seeing we can maximize the enjoyment for the fans by spreading the love and concentrating on the movie as a whole and not just one particular element. Let's evenly execute everything to be entertaining, rather than let's make the action scenes good and everything else, or make, like you said, one character stand out, because everyone loves Wolverine, just to focus on him, and everyone else will be the filler or the side dish.
Yeah.
That's
supporting
cast. What needs to come away from. You can make a movie with 10 fucking characters, 10 characters, and make it work. On every level.
Even like my boy,
which is a big lesson. Which is a big lesson to learn, by the way. It's not easy.
Yeah, even my boy Jeremy Renner. I'm a huge Jeremy Renner fan, so I'm always looking forward to trying to seeing him as much as possible in these movies. And when Hawkeye comes in, Hawkeye's great.
I didn't think he was in this movie. I was surprised when in this movie. I didn't even know he was in. He's not even in the trailer much. But they gave him enough to do, not a lot, but enough to make him like, hey, yeah.
And his little bit with Scarlett Johansson when they're fighting each other, it was the best bit of the movie because it was like a genuine character moment where they just look at each other like, we'll still be friends, right? It was just, yeah. But to end on a little bit of a nitpick, the whole movie is what makes it or breaks it is the friendship between Steve Rogers and Bucky. And I gotta say, I don't give a shit about Bucky. Like,
that's actually, thanks for bringing it up. When it ended with him freezing, it just felt silly. Like, honestly, after all this shit, you're putting it back in the freezer. After the havoc, people have died because not just because of what he did in the past, but people are looking for him and just gonna freeze him. Now, for him to make that decision himself, I understand because I respect him and say, you know what, I need to put myself away. But to me, I would have believed it more. Well, actually, I was gonna say if it was more like the Hulk and Man Up, but no, he needed to be hidden. But I was just like, really, I don't really believe it.
You gotta get him out of the plot up until the next movie. Like, we gotta fight.
Yeah, it's that element that just me. That's the only part of the movie I felt like. I just felt like this is a seed for later for something else. But the last two Captain Americas, he's been the pivotal point. Now he's not the pivotal point. They have taken him out. It's like now you got to make a movie where he isn't the pivotal point, which shouldn't be hard for these guys. So they're great writers. But yeah, thanks for bringing it out because that I was like, meh.
And to be fair, a lot of that is that the first Captain America is very different because they didn't direct it.
Yeah, people don't even support them with these two.
Yeah, exactly. They look at that movie. I think that was considered the weakest of the first.
I think it's a good movie. And let me tell you something. Captain America was even more square than Superman. I was like, this guy, but I thought the movie was a good all-arounder. It's a good superhero movie.
I'm just saying that their relationship, it wasn't established for me well enough in that movie.
Definitely not.
When we come to this one, to be Bucky, like, I wasn't like on the edge, like what's gonna happen with Bucky? If they would have killed his ass, I would have been the same. So I was invested in the conflict between Captain America and Iron Man, not because of the Winter Soldier, not what happens to the Winter Soldier. I didn't care about
him as a person.
Yeah. So that's something like maybe in the future you have sympathy because he gets screwed over real bad.
You know what? The reason why I'm sorry to cut you. The only reason I look over that is because they just try to make that more of Captain America's personality that he sees, he's so just and he's so pure and it's his best friend. So if he's gonna care for the little man, his best friend he's gonna forsake the whole world. Because that's Captain America, the man who will jump on a grenade before his best friend. He will send the whole world to chaos if he's innocent.
No, come on now, no. now you sound like a general, the general out of the movie, General Fuckhead.
Captain America who will die for anyone, but if you're his best friend, fuck the world.
No. He tried to prevent the chaos from happening. Now we're starting a civil war here. It's just like, he tried to prevent that motherfucker. Is that all these other guys coming in that screwed up the plan? If they would have just let him handle it on his own, he would have solved the problem.
Yeah, I think the movie painted him, but again, I don't know. If we go on, that's a different argument, but let's wrap this up, guys, because this has been a long discussion, and we're going to do... You know what? Why don't you tell the people, because we're going to follow this podcast up in the second part.
Yeah.
But we're going to discuss like the follow-up to the fallout.
This movie is a game changer a little bit, because Marvel proved that they can do comedy as well as drama. They can make a movie that's darker and more dramatic and serious, and a movie that's more lighthearted and silly and fun. So... it's a game changer, and there's a lot of things people could take away from it. So and with all these movies coming up, we're gonna take a look at what the big three, so to speak, could do better, and what are the possible mistakes or possible things that could be negatives with these upcoming films.
The big three, who do you mean specifically?
We're just talking about 20th Century Fox with the X-Men series. Mm-hmm. We're talking about DC, obviously.
Have to, again.
And, of course, Marvel. We're gonna dip into Marvel just at the end to say... okay, you nailed it so far, but what are the things that could cause problems moving on?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and
Captain Marvel, and it is Captain Marvel. There's two Captain Marvels, one on DC and I tipped.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I don't even know about that. What?
Well, anyway, guys.
let's get into that. Oh, apparently we got a lot of stuff piled up.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to go on next one. So we're gonna be talking about the fallout of this movie, and not in a negative way, but there's a lot of all these movies make ripple waves, especially with these companies saying, "Oh, what did they do? We can do that." DC has knee-jerk reactions. So on the next podcast, we're going to be talking about the future for the rest of this year, and what do we think on the. It's just going to be fun to talk about because there's fallout, there's rumors about what's going on, people are running around, and yeah, let's just get out of here. It's been an hour, guys. Thanks for watching. You can click the annotations on the right to all the other stuff we do for the podcast 19. Check out all the other podcasts we've rambled about. We had a whole long discussion about Batman vs Superman. How did you miss it?
That was a good one.
We didn't harp on it, but we were honest about it, and you know, there's a lot of fallback from that movie even now, and we'll get onto that in the next podcast. But guys, leave a comment down below if you checked out the whole discussion. Let us know what you thought of the movie. Did you agree with our quibbles, our positives, negatives, what have you? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And if this is your first time checking us out on YouTube or on iTunes, because we're on audio now on the iTunes podcast, thanks to Shout Engine, let us know. Connect with us. Social media, all the links are down below. But until then, we're going to say thank you. I thank my host, Simon Rad, for this podcast and seeing the movie with. He's always a very entertaining fellow to check out these stuff with.
Yeah, Captain America was right.
If you say so. But time will tell. But guys, until the next one, we'll say see you later.
See you later.
Peace.